All right.
Oh, you're in it with us.
Somehow.
Come here,
Hello.
brother.
This is the Lucci family. Today we're doing my Christian marriage project. Would you guys please introduce yourselves?
I'm John Colucci. I'm Jack Colucci's dad.
Ellen Colucci, Jack Colucci's mom.
So, first question. How long have you guys been married?
24 years.
When did you guys meet?
February 1996.
February 14th, 1996. Valentine's Day.
How old were you when you first met each other?
26. 25.
I was much younger.
23.
23. Is
Uh,
that 23?
why did you decide to get married?
I found the person I could grow old with.
How was your engagement?
How was it?
Yeah, what happened? Can you describe the steps that went through it? How did he do it?
Well, it's a funny story because Dad called Aunt Elisa from a payphone at Penn Station and announced that he had the ring taped to his leg. And she got very nervous about that. So then he was so excited, he came up to my apartment and...
No. I had to ask for your mom's parents
Well, he
for
said-
their
right.
blessing.
Right, he asked
And then
for
the
my
next
parents'
day
blessing.
I came in and asked you to marry me.
He drove up to Rye and he asked for my parents' blessing, and then he was so excited when he had the ring. I just opened up my apartment and he proposed.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And then what were you looking for in a spouse?
I
Let's start
was
with
looking for someone that I could, have a good time with. I always like to laugh, so I wanted to have somebody that would always make me laugh. It was just,
I'll go.
I
I
felt
wanted
like
someone
we-
who shared the same values, had the same sense of humor, didn't take themselves that seriously, but took the family seriously. And someone I like waking up next to every day.
I did like how your father was very, very family oriented. That meant a lot to me as well.
That's nice. And then when you guys got married, how did your expectations of a marriage compare to the realities of a marriage?
I don't think that I was prepared for the amount of work that marriage takes. I think that marriage takes a tremendous amount of work. I think that it takes a tremendous amount of talking to each other. And I think that you have to trust one another, because if you don't trust one another, you really have nothing. But I don't think that people are prepared for the amount of work that it takes to make sure that your spouse is okay, your relationship is okay. It's not, marriage and love is not a state of being. It's something that you work very hard for. And I think it's very easy to not work hard.
And then Dad?
The difference between being engaged and marriage, once you're in the marriage, is a tremendous amount of sacrifice and compromise. You can't go into it with a mindset of being one-sided. It's really two people, and it takes a tremendous amount of work, but I cherish the lows and highs, because the lows, taught me that we could be resilient, we could accomplish anything together as a couple, and it strengthens you.
That sounds nice. And then how did children affect it?
Well, that's a whole game changer. I don't think there's enough time.
Well, just start with
It brings a lot of joy. It's an amazing thing that you bring these lives into the world and you see them develop and you see whose traits they have. What's the mix? What's something unique in and of themselves? It's really just a miracle of life, and they, believe it or not, children can also add stress. As much joy as they can add stress, and it kind of goes back to marriage and talking to each other and working through the different issues, and but it's definitely added a whole different dynamic that's very rewarding and beautiful to see how when we work together, you see that reflected in our children.
For me, immense moments of pride and joy. Going back to the highs and lows, it's every day I think with my our three children, I just get amazed of how much you guys grow and really have the resolve to really do well, and it's just amazing to see.
That sounds nice. And I was going to ask, so when you guys got married, how important was religion, religious values? Because you guys do come from very different backgrounds. So I was wondering how that affected the marriage, maybe the wedding, growing, having kids.
I'll take this one. I'm a little bit more dedicated to religion, but what religion gives you is a shared set of values. And I think just because I go to church more often, I think we both have shared values, and that's what matters, right? And that's what's first and foremost in front and center in our lives, and how we raise you guys, our children, and how we conduct ourselves as husband and wife. Like, we have shared values, and that's very important. And Mommy mentioned trust. So every day it's about earning each other's trust. Just because you get married, and we got married over 24 years ago, you still have to put the effort in to really gain each other's trust.
And I admire, I feel as if your father he is more religious than me, and it's something that I admire in him, his deep faith in God and how God will see us through.
Perhaps, and since you guys have been married longer than I've been around, what advice would you give to teenagers who are dating and they're thinking, maybe I'll marry this person? Maybe they're in high school still, or maybe they're just starting to get into college and still dating someone.
Well, I don't know that there's like a rule that a lot of people feel that when you go away to college, if you're not at the same college, you should take a break and date other people. And I definitely think that there's a lot to that, use that as a time to date other people. But I feel as if the number one way to really determine if somebody is a good person for you is if you like the person that you are when you're around them. If you feel that they're bringing out a good side of you, if when you're around that person, you're happy, you're empowering to other people, you are encouraging of other people, you're encouraging of yourself, and you feel good about yourself. I think that it's important to look at how you are when you're around that person. If you're with somebody and you find that you're very depressed around them, or sad, or you want to be mean to other people, then that could be a sign that that person's not necessarily bringing the best out in you. And I just think that when you're with the right person, you should feel as if the best is being brought out in you, and you should also feel as if you are bringing the best out in that person.
For me, I think the best advice I could give to a young couple that's just starting to date or going through dating right now is follow your own rules in heart. Like, don't get caught up in the group pressures and society norms of what you should be doing and what your crowd wants you to do and what your friend groups want you to do. Just relax and be yourselves, and going back to that word of trust, take your time and just get to know each other as a person.
Don't rush it.
Yeah,
You have time. Don't rush it.
But enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
And then for advice you would have for someone who is young, they just got married, what would you say when they're experiencing their first marriage difficulties? What advice would you give them since it's their first time overcoming that hurdle?
I'll take that. Embrace it, right? Embrace those tough times. No one enjoys them, but those tough times are probably better character building and strength building as a couple versus the good times, right? Like, success is a crappy teacher, and it's when things are tough, people are sick, maybe you lost a job, outside pressures, maybe like in-law pressures, family pressures, that strengthens you. And it's a great thing to know that two people can come together and get through anything with each other's love and strength. So I think it's embrace those tough times.
I think that when you face your tough times, I think both people in the marriage have to be dedicated to willing to work it out and to have the hard conversations and to listen and to admit when you're wrong, which is not easy to do, but to be okay with, you really have to take the time to listen. You also have to take the time to express your feelings. And you have to be willing to admit, you know, where you were wrong, what it is that you can do to improve. And, you know, kind of going back to my point a couple questions ago, is that you just have to be willing to put in the time to listen to your partner and express how you feel, because times will be hard.
Thank you. And then, since you guys have been married for so long, what would you say is the key to keeping a happy, healthy, loving marriage?
I think the communication is very important, and I think the commitment to the sanctity of marriage, and you know, we took a vow to be married, and we took a vow to commit our lives to each other, and with that comes hard work, and you have to, the vow is everything.
Commitment and compromise, right? You can't be stubborn. You have to be willing to compromise and be willing to do things that normally, you know, you're not comfortable with or agree with, but for the sake of the marriage, you do it.
Thank you. And then the last two questions, looking back, what would you do differently if you could? Either meeting mom, getting to know mom, marrying, setting out ground rules for marriage, kids, that whole kitten and caboodle.
Me personally, I wouldn't change a thing.
Aw.
But if I had to give advice to people, again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. There is no script. There is no textbook, right? You're going to grow, and it's your own marriage, not someone else's. So follow your heart, your collective, you know, goals and aspirations. Don't try to emulate and live someone else's life. Live yours. Live where you want to live. Do what you want to do. But as your mom said, communication is utmost paramount. That is the priority. And don't just talk, but listen. Be a good listener.
Great, Dad.
I honestly don't know what I would do differently. I look back on our life, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm very happy with it. And I mean, there were ups and downs, but you know, would I love to have never had a down? Absolutely. But like Dad said, that's what makes you stronger. So I can't say that there's anything I would change.
That sounds lovely. And for a final question, this is more so just a general one. Do you think a couple should live together before signing and getting married? Why or why not?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because you've got to get to know each other. It helps. And it helps to understand now that the newness, and it's a different person, so understanding their different habits and behaviors and things that, you know, may you not agree with, but now you can have that dialogue and that communication. But when you jumping straight into it, when you get married, it's kind of hard to, you know, there's less options. Right?
I do think that there should be an engagement before living with one another, but it's all part of the
growing process.
It's part of the process.
Was that an easy adjustment? Having to deal with the other one's habits?
Nope.
I think you can even answer that question.
Especially
living with both of us.
Oh no.
No, it's never easy. Even if it's just, you know, moving in with a friend. You know, it's two different lives, and you know, two different people, and compromising, and who's clean, who's messy, and who's doing laundry. You know, it's a lot of things to take into account.
Well, guys, thank you for all this lovely advice. This has been a great interview, and I hope your marriage continues to keep working out as it is, and hopefully you can watch one of your kids get married one day.
can't wait.
That would be lovely.
Amen.
Thanks, Jack.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Oh,